Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name's Andy R and this is the Brotherhood of Men, a channel solely dedicated to getting you men out there the best outcome in your lives. And I do that by, well, first I set up this channel and also by making these videos. And what I do with these videos is I give you my opinion on certain subjects, probably a fresh opinion that you've not heard before, or maybe you have heard it but in a different way. I also share information with you so that you can make better decisions. How can you make better decisions if you don't have the information at hand, at your fingertips? I also share news articles when I think something outrageous has happened or something that I think is funny, and I share it with you guys so that you can understand what's going on in the world. So what's today's subject? Well, you saw the thumbnail, so it's the one film I believe, and it is my opinion. I will break it down for you so to see if you agree with me, but my opinion, there's one film that absolutely destroyed women for relationships. And I mean that quite literally. It ruined women for relationships going forward. So all of their daughters, after watching this film, went with it, thought it was brilliant, told their daughters. They got worse and worse until we end up in the situation we are today. Can you guess what that one film is? I'm going to give you just a second to think about it. Any ideas? Leave it in the comment down below if you, right now, don't wait to the end till you know the answer, think you know what the film is that I'm talking about. Now, in the 80s, there was a slew of films that were giving it that girl power empowerment, like things like Working Girl with Meg Ryan and Harrison Ford, you know, where she was, I've got a body for sin and a head for business and all that kind of thing. And they all fell into the same category: rom-coms, romantic comedies. I'm sorry, but they're neither funny or romantic. Most of them. See it. In fact, leave in the comments, you men out there, leave in the comments any film that you can think of that actually goes into the category of rom-com, where the guy isn't made to look like a sap, like a loser and like a complete and utter idiot, and where the woman isn't made out to look like, hey, she's the fixer, she's the one who gets everything right, she's the sassy one, and you know, because that's what rom-com is. If a woman says to you, hey, do you want to go to the pictures, meaning do you want to pay me to go to the pictures, pay for me, sorry, to go to the pictures, and she picks out a rom-com, say to her, no, you can go with your friends and watch that. I want to go and see the latest Marvel film or the next Jason Bourne or James Bond. I want to see an action film, something where at least the man is acting like a man in. I don't want to sit in a darkened room for an hour and a half or 2 hours or however long the film is, whilst you sit there going, oh, this is so true, while the guy's made to look like a complete and utter idiot. Why should I go through that humiliation? Because that isn't real life and I'm not putting up with it. So if she asks you to go and see a rom-com for her, she's actually testing you. She's actually seeing if you'll go along with it. Don't be that weakling. Don't be that yes ma'am, no ma'am kind of guy. Just put your foot down and go, I ain't going to watch that. You want to watch that film, if you're so keen to watch that film, you go and pay for it and go with your friends, because I'm not paying to watch something that is basically just out to belittle men, because that's what these rom-coms do, and it's been going on for generations now. Like I said, try and think of one rom-com, romantic comedy film, that actually had the man in a solid role, where he wasn't a little bit of a loser, wasn't a bit of a weakling, wasn't a bit of a pushover, or where the woman wasn't the sassy, the super strong, the resilient, you know, that kind of thing. I can't think of one, not one. But the film I think actually destroyed relationships for women was a romantic comedy. There was nothing funny in it. I remember watching this film, I didn't laugh once. And I didn't think of it as a romance. I watched this film with the woman I was with at the time, And she said, "Oh, that was a brilliant film." And I went, did we watch the same film? That was a horror movie. She goes, "No, it wasn't. It was lovely. It was beautiful." And that film was Pretty Woman. Richard Gere and Julia Roberts. You know the film? If you've seen the film, you know the film I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the film, then I suggest you go and watch it. Because I know that you younger guys, this was a film that was made in 1990, so you probably haven't seen it. You might have heard of it, but you probably haven't seen it. But watch it, and watch it with open, red pill men's eyes. Watch it and understand what it's actually saying, and why it ruined relationships from that film onwards. That film was a blockbuster. Absolute gangbusters of a film it was. And why? Because women flocked to see that film. Not men, women. They loved that film. And of course, men got dragged along. Hey, let's go and watch Pretty Woman. Do we really have to? Of course. S-testing you to see if you'll put up with it. Will you sit down there whilst this story unfolds in front of your eyes? As I said when I came out of that theatre, I mean, I was a young man then. And, I came out, and even then I was like, that was a horror movie. And the woman I was with, she was like, "Oh no, it was so romantic. Oh, it made me cry at the end." And I'm like, really? We didn't watch the same film, kid. We really didn't, sweetheart, because that was a horror movie. Okay, let me give you the bio of this film. It's a down on her look, this is Julia Roberts' character, a down on her look Vegas prostitute. yeah, no, I'm not kidding. Look it up on Wikipedia. Pretty Woman. A down on her look Las Vegas prostitute gets with a multi-millionaire businessman who's in town for the week and hires her as entertainment. Yeah, you know what entertainment we're talking about. And over the week they're together, they fall in love. Ah, isn't that sweet? No, it's not sweet. It's a horror story. Let's break it down with open eyes, shall we? First of all, this is Las Vegas, the party capital of the world. This is where people all from around the States and around the world fly in to have fun. How can a prostitute fail in the party capital of the world? But she's down on her luck, and she's a prostitute. How can any prostitute fail? They're offering the one thing that all we men actually want, the coochie. We all want it, let's be honest. But she's down on her luck. For a start, it's not being very believable. And also, Julia Roberts is quite a pretty woman. I wouldn't say she's stunning, and I wouldn't say that she's the most attractive woman in the world. She's okay, she's cute. You would, that's what I'm saying. She's pretty. As in the title, Pretty Woman. Richard Gere is a good-looking man. He is said in this film, and you see it, he's a very wealthy man. A millionaire, multi-millionaire. He's a good-looking multi-millionaire. He's flying all over the country and probably the world doing business deals. When he gets to these places, he hooks up with escorts, exactly like he is doing with Julia Roberts. So he's not... But all of a sudden, this failed falling down on a hard luck prostitute is the best coochie he's ever had, so much so that he falls in love with her. Come on, this is starting to get very, very unbelievable. He's good looking, multi-millionaire, flies around the world. You know, when they get together in this film, he already says he's hired her for one thing. He wants her bouncing up and down on his body, and he wants to bounce up and down on her body. That's it. But she's so fantastic. Well, if she's so fantastic, why is she down on her luck and failing? She should have a black book full of multi-millionaires that are phoning her up. Can we get together? Can we get together? Oh, I can't stay away from you. No. We're supposed to believe that this basic streetwalker, which is what she is, is so rubbish at her job that she's failing at giving away the one, well, not giving away, selling the one thing that most men who are straight actually want. No, that doesn't make sense. She's selling the one product that most men want. All right, most men don't want to pay for it, but you understand the metaphor I'm using here. He's a rich man who, by his own admission, goes from town to town to town to do these business deals and, you know, sort out companies or fold them up or, you know, hedge fund, whatever it is that he is. He's a multi-millionaire businessman flying around. So you know that he's replicating this scenario of, I'm here for a week and I want a week's entertainment, so I'm going to get myself a woman from an escort agency and I will pay X amount of money. He actually haggles with her to get the, but they fall in love, so much so that he doesn't just fly out at the end of that week. No, his driver says, I have her address where I dropped her off, sir. And he goes chasing after her, sticking out the top of the limousine, the white knight coming in to save her. And that's the bit the women love, and that's the very bit that destroyed women for relationships. Because it fed into their ego that it doesn't matter what you do, when you meet the right man, it'll all work out and everything's forgiven. This guy's a multi-millionaire businessman and knows she's a prostitute, but falls in love with her. Come on, it's a horror story. It's not a rom-com. It's not funny and it's definitely not romantic. But women loved it. In that, you talk to women from the... Did you ever watch Pretty Woman? Oh yeah, I love that film. Why do you love that film? Ask that question. Why do you love that film? And it's usually said, oh, it was so romantic. How Richard Gere chased after. Oh, I cried so much. Oh, it was so beautiful. No, it wasn't. He is a successful businessman. He would never be that much of a mug. He'd never be that much of a loser. He'd never get to where he was in business if that's what he did. Also, look at it from her point of view. How can she trust him out of her sight? He picked up a prostitute, her, and he goes all around the country. Without her, guess what he's doing? It doesn't stand up to any kind of scrutiny. But women loved that film so much because it played straight into their narrative that, hey girl, any man would be glad to get with you, and when you're ready to settle down, there'll be millions of men beating a path to your door. Those great stories, like in the previous video I did on women tell great stories, those great stories that tell themselves. Yet the reality is absolutely different. We guys have gone, no, take your used up, worn out old body away from here. I can get better. What do you think you're playing at? You bought in. And of course, those women who watched Pretty Woman, of course, they've got kids now. And their daughters, they say, oh, Pretty Woman, you've got to watch it with me. Oh, it was beautiful. And they are even worse than the mothers who bought into this fantasy fairy story of a movie. Because women do, if it fits their narrative. Guys are a bit dumb, guys are a bit useless, but guys are a bit of a loser, and they won't do anything and won't make anything of them without we women there to fix them, to change them, to make them better. Just like in Pretty Woman. Oh, he might have been a successful, handsome, multi-millionaire businessman with his life settled, but he wasn't truly happy until he met this prostitute he was banging. Come on. I mean, it has not even a tiny kernel, a smallest thread of reality into this film. But women loved it because it fed into their narrative, their belief that this is how life really is. Doesn't matter if that you've been an absolute massive body count woman, that you were banging everything left, right and centre, suffered from 46 different kind of STDs. Hey, once you decide to settle down, just go to the magic relationship tree and pick the man of your choice, because that's all it takes. Hey, didn't you watch Pretty Woman? It ruined women for relationships, that film did. 1990s, from then onwards, it's not got better. It's got worse and worse and worse. And this is why we men, and many men, are just walking away from relationships, are just walking away from marriage. We're going, do you know what? The juice just isn't worth the squeeze. You're too chaotic. You're too much drama for us to deal with. We can't fix you. You're quite literally broken toys, and we aren't toy fixers. Anyway, do you agree with me? My synopsis on the Pretty Woman film and how it completely destroyed relationships. Maybe it hasn't been put to you in those terms and you're familiar with the film, and now listening to me telling it to you and looking at it with open eyes from a man's perspective, seeing it as it truly is. Oh, and by the way, if you can hear fireworks, yes, it's still that weekend of the fireworks. It's the Sunday today. Somebody's fireworks night was Friday, but it's Sunday and Saturday, and we'll still be hearing them for days because, hey, why not? So I'm not in a war zone, I promise you. So anyway, if you enjoyed this new look on the film in the 1990s, Pretty Woman, let me know in the comments down below. Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments down below. If you got something out of this film, or if you want to show a woman this synopsis and say, there you go, that's what Pretty Woman was really about, share it. Share it far and wide. I want this community to grow. I want the brotherhood to grow. I want a huge army of my brothers out there, all of us going, you know what, we're awake and we know what's going on, and we're members of the brotherhood. Coming in, join the brotherhood. I'll welcome you, and so will the brothers, because we're of a like mind. I will talk to you soon because I'm going for a cup of tea. I think I've earned one. You take care of yourself, because if you don't, who on earth will? And if you can think of a rom-com where the guy isn't made to look like an absolute muppet, or the woman isn't made to look like Superwoman almost, let me know in the comments down below, because I'd like to watch it, because I've never seen a rom-com that I thought was anything romantic, and I don't think I've ever laughed at one of them. Anyway, you take care. I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.